Good afternoon, Namaskar. I, Kriti Vadhera, would like to welcome all the teachers, learners, educators, students to CIET NCRT's live phone-in program. And if you are watching us live on PM eVidya's channel number 4, this is inclusive classroom session where we discuss with our experts various strategies on daily basis for all you all. And today we will be discussing about English as a subject for Standard 4 students. And the expert who is joining us today, I would like to introduce Mrs. Shami Banerjee. She's special educator from Pathways, Gurgaon. We welcome you, Mrs. Banerjee, for today's live interaction program.
Thank you so much, Ms. Priti. It's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward for an interesting session with you all.
And before we start with today's live interaction session, I would like to remind you all here that this conversation will be interpreted for you by Ms. Jyoti as our interpreter. And let's begin with this session. But before that, I would like to remind you all that if you have any questions, any queries, then please do let us know. You can dial on our toll-free numbers to tell us. Number would be 8800440559. And if you wish to watch the live streaming of this program, kindly log into our official YouTube channel by the name of NCRT Official, and there also the live chat box. You may send all your suggestions and questions to us. There is one more medium through which you can contact us. Kindly mail all your suggestions and queries on dth.class4@ciet.nic.in. So let's begin with today's interaction. I would again welcome Mrs. Banerjee for today's discussion. What are we going to discuss today here, Ms. Banerjee?
All right, thank you, Ms. Kriti. So what we are looking at is the inclusive classroom where today we will be specifically looking at the different strategies, the techniques for differentiation in an ongoing lesson in the class. So if we have different learners like visual learners, kinesthetic learners, auditory learners, and how in a lesson we can address all the needs of these children, differentiation strategies. So I have tried and incorporate most of the strategies in my lesson, and maybe we can just start with the lesson and then we can discuss it further.
Right.
Sure. All right. So today we will be looking at a class 4 English lesson, Unit 1, Wake Up from Neha's Alarm Clock. It's a poem. All right. Before I begin with my session, I think this is always, I usually begin my session with a warm-up activity just to set up the tone and the mode of the classroom where everyone comes in sync and we are all gathered for a learning. So everyone on a same page. So let's start off with the warm-up activity. For this, you can, let's close your eyes for 30 seconds. Take a deep breath. Concentrate on your breathing. There we are. And then imagine you're sitting in a park on a bench. You can hear birds chirping, small squeals of squirrels, and other sounds of nature. Alright, I know that you can hear those sounds. Now, try and feel the breeze on your face. I'm happy to be in the park. Alright, there we are. Now I think we have set up the mood for a interesting class where we are already in the park. And now let's begin the lesson. Okay, so let's read and recite the poem Wake Up. Alright, before I begin the lesson, I would really like to just explain the picture in the on your screen, which you can see. So there's this little boy who's wearing an orange t-shirt and a brown shorts, and he is playing near a small pond on the field, on the open field. I can see two white ducks with playing in the water, splashing the water across. We can also see a squirrel. If you look at the tree, there's a squirrel which is climbing down. There are birds under the tree, and there's also a bird sitting on the wooden fence, which is a light brown in color. And we can also see at the background there are 2-3 houses with thatched roofs and luscious green grass on the ground. All right, so this is how the scene looks like, and there are beautiful flowers on the field. So let's begin. Let's read and recite the poem. Wake up, it's a lovely day. Oh, please get up and come and play. The birds are singing in the trees, and you can hear the buzzing bees. So the poem looks like this boy is calling every little sleepy head who are sleeping and cuddled under their bed to wake up and come out and see what a lovely day it is. And he's inviting everyone to come and play, to enjoy the nature. The birds are singing in the trees and you can hear the buzzing bees. So this is the first stanza. Let's go to the second stanza now. All right, again there is a beautiful picture on your screen you can see. Before I recite the second stanza, let me just explain the picture cue at the background. So we can see a little girl who is wearing a very cute little blue color frock, and her hair is tied in a nice two ponytails, and we can see there is a bird flying over above the sky. There is a sun. There is a horse which is near open ground. So this is how the picture cue looks. We can also see a small hen at the background. Now let's look at the second stanza. Let me recite the poem for you. Wake up, it's a lovely day. Oh, please get up and come and play. It's much too late to lie in the bed. So hurry up, you sleepy head. This stanza, the girl is inviting all the children, please wake up and come out and see the day and come out and play. It's too much late to lie in the bed. The sun is already up, it's bright morning, and it's actually late to lie in the bed. So please hurry up and you sleepy head. Wash and dress and come on out. Everyone is up and about. The cow, the horses, the ducks and the sheep. The tiniest chicken, cheep, cheep, cheep. Wake up. So this is how she's inviting all the children. Get up from the bed, wash up yourself, dress up and come on out, because everyone is out. And who all is out? The cow, the horses, the ducks and the sheep. And also the tiniest chicken, cheep, cheep, cheep. So this was the last stanza of the poem. And let's now look at who's the author. It's very important to know the author of the poem. So the author of the poem is C. Fletcher. We can also look at, if you look at the screen, there are also some new words. Lovely, buzzing, sleepy head, tiniest. All right, I hope you enjoyed the poem and as much as I did reciting it to you. Now let's look at the summary of the poem by identifying certain characters of the poem. So why we are looking at the characters of the poem right now? Because it's very important that you summarize whatever you have learned so that it will help you to attempt some exercises at the back end of your textbook. Let's look at who all was there in this poem. The sleepy head. The boy and the girl in the picture of the text that we have already seen in the previous two slides. Chirping birds. Buzzing bees. The cow. All right. Let's look at the few more characters. The horse. The duck. The sheep, and the tiniest chickens. So these were total, we had 9 characters in this poem. Okay, now let's look at few new words which we have seen in the text. One is lovely, a very beautiful or attractive. The meaning of the word lovely, very beautiful or attractive. Buzzing, So we've learned this word, we've heard this word in the poem where bee is buzzing, making a slow, continuous humming or murmuring sound. You usually see that, when we are out in the field or when we are near our house, if there is a bee comes near to us, you can hear those small little, that buzzing sound. So that's what we call buzzing. Sleepy head, a sleepy or an inattentive person, whoever is sleeping and feeling lazy to get up. So we usually have this word which we usually use for those kids. It's just a sleepy head. All right, so now let's have fun learning. So let's look at few of the exercises we have. Reading as fun. What do you think birds say to each other in the morning? This is one of the first questions we have in the exercise. So please think about it. Let's take that 2 minutes and think. What do you think that birds would be saying to each other? You all go out, and when you meet up with your friends, you talk to each other, you interact with each other. So what do you think the birds would be talking to each other? Have you ever thought about it? Let's give a thought. Let's take a pause and think about it. All right. Now let's look at the second question. Who are already awake? So the context here is that both the children, both the boy and the girl, were calling the children to ask for to come out and play. But there were already so many people who were awake. So think about those in the poem that who were already awake, right? Okay. I'm sure that you must have already made the note of it. All right, let's look at the third question. Which creatures wake up in the morning before the child does? When we get up in the morning, we usually hear these sounds at the background. When we did the warm-up activity, you could also hear some sounds. So just take a clue from that and let's see if we can attempt those questions. What all sounds we heard and what all creatures would have been woken up in the morning before you do. All right. Now let's look.
Mrs. Banerjee, before we move further, I would like to ask you here. See, once we have finished the poem, we are discussing the exercises here. So, language building, if we talk about, as a special educator, are there any sort of strategies when you discuss it with the third or fourth standard students? You want to tell our viewers, maybe many parents are watching us and many educators are watching us, so they can also gain out of today's session.
Absolutely. Absolutely, ma'am. I think that's a very valid point, and thank you for giving that pause and asking such a valid question to me. Yes, language strategy is something which I can talk about. Language skills is definitely something which we build over the period of the time, and it starts the early we start, the best we are. So if I'm looking at the poem and if I can give you an example, so if you're doing a reading comprehension or a reading a poem, the first thing you can do is underline the words, which is difficult words, new words, and at the end, once you finish the reading, you can make a note of that, right? That is one thing. The child can make a note of those words. Second, with those words only, we can start looking at making new words, understand the meaning. And let's not do the very traditional method, because we have a lot of children who have different way of understanding. Some children understand through a visual clue, some understand through an auditory clue. So maybe let's say if I give you an example, let's say maybe can you give me a word which I can just explain it to you? Would you like to?
Honeybee. That's what we were discussing. We were discussing about bees, so honeybee is also a word for it.
So bees. So bees are very interesting, So if, let's say we got some children who might not be understanding the buzzing word. So maybe an auditory note with the honeybee buzzing gives them that clue. Yes, this is the honeybee. And then maybe in using of a sentence, bees are something. At times you can make it also that, have you seen the bee? We get the honey from the honeybee. So these are the few things, where you connect the word with your real life world, where you can encourage the child to let's use those words when we are talking or when we are interacting. So I think that is one of the language strategies we can use. Any other word, ma'am, so that I can give you more examples? Would you like to give?
It could be chicken or hen.
Yes,
Because
hens and chickens is something very strange because usually our children are, not very much into the field. And this is again, you have these interesting. I remember in my one of my classroom, the child was really, how does a small chick looks like? It looks very cute. And then we showed a video to that. This is how they make the sounds. And when we did a Google search, there were a lot of chickens. So there were colorful chickens and everything. And then we give a little bit of information more, why the chickens were colored, because if they are in the open field, the crow must catch up, or the vulture will come and pick up. So that's how you build on, and it also build your vocabulary. So when you spoke about chicken, I spoke about eagle, I spoke about crow. So that's how you build up. So it's more of like an interaction, it's an ongoing thing. I think those are the few strategies the children, and definitely new vocabulary.
right.
They're identifying new words, make a list of those words, and ensure that we practice using those words in our day-to-day lives, maybe while speaking or while talking to each other or addressing something. So that really helps.
Day-to-day life, you just said, and the day-to-day life, if you talk about in present scenario, we all are connected virtually. Teachers are conducting classes virtually. In fact, parents are also there with children inside the homes, basically trapped due to lockdown situation.
Yes.
So, as a parent, if I ask you, how to enhance the skills of these special children? How can a parent help within home?
All right, enhanced skills, are you talking about learning skills? Yes,
No,
language skills?
we are talking about in terms of language only because we are discussing a poem. Via
Yes.
poem, all the language building can happen. And yes, of course, visualization, illustration could be uh, adjacent to it. But if we talk about language as a skill, to enhance verbal skills, to understand the meaning making basically of a poem. So how a
Absolutely.
parent can help in this pandemic time to a student or a children?
I know. I think it's been a real tough year for everyone, and I think parents have actually taken the roles of the educators as well. They have been filling a lot of roles, and I can absolutely understand. Second that thought. Okay, for the parents, I can always say that when we're talking about language skills, it is not only about only reading. There is also very interesting ways of engaging your children into reading. There are a lot of auditory books which is available with very nice pictures cues on the online. The best thing is that yes, the child can build up the reading skills. Why? Because the audio note is there, plus the vocabulary and the text. So the pictures and the text is associated together. The child is able to make an association with the people. So they're very nice books and everything, and those are very independent resources where the child can just be with the resource and can monitor and can just independently study. It also eases out a lot of tension on the parent. The parent doesn't have to do, we see children most of days on online with video games and everything. So this is also one way of engaging. And language skills also, if I'm just adding a little more. So there are a lot of other games also which is available online where you have language skills plus the mathematical skills, small little kind of games where you can actually read the question and it's been calculations. And so a lot of online resources are available. I would definitely encourage parents to go. And plus, please take out your time, spend quality time with your children. Maybe just when you're going to the bed, just take a book and read it, rather than be going on the phone and game. So those are few things. Maybe if you inculcate in your daily routine, it will really help the child. Encourage the child to speak in that particular language, because we are at home, nobody's judging us. You can always talk to each other, good morning, hi, how are you? Let's talk, let's make an attempt that for next 1 hour we'll only speak in English. Those kind of small little rules which also build up your reading skills plus your speaking language skills, and it will make you more confident.
I guess, Ms. Banji, you have told enough to our parents who are struggling really hard in this pandemic times. You may just finish your PPT, whatever you were explaining, then we can take up a question or two if we are getting any on our official stream.
Sure, ma'am, sure. Can I just quickly go back to the questions, because since we
Yes,
have a long
yes, sure, please, you may.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so children, let's look at the questions which we were discussing. So first, we were discussing about what you think birds say to each other in the morning. The second question we were looking at who are already awake. And the third questions which we had is which creatures wake up in the morning before the child does. All right, now let's look at some of the answers to it. All right, the first question, what do you think birds say to each other in the morning? So there is no right and wrong answer here. There could be, the birds might be wishing or greeting each other, inquiring each other's well-being, or they must be talking, what you had for breakfast. So it could be anything. So there is no right and wrong answers. It's just your imagination and to see how creative you get with your answers. All right. Okay, now let's look at the second question. The second question where who are already awake. Now going back to the poem, children, if you remember, we did that character, identifying what characters were there. So if you recall that, we can look at it. So there were birds, bees, cow, horse, duck, sheep, and chickens who must be awake. Okay, that answers your second question. Third question was which creatures wake up in the morning before the child does? So all the above mentioned creatures, which are birds, bees, cow, horse, duck, sheep, and chickens, they were all up before the child. So these are the few answers. So this is how you can attempt the questions. Now, I just thought I'll just give you a quick little homework, taking forward from what Ms. Kriti said, that, language skills, this is a small homework. I hope you'll enjoy doing it. So let's try and using frame or make sentences using these 3 words. And these are the words which I've already talked about. I discussed the meaning of these words. First is lovely. Second word, buzzing. Third word, sleepyhead. So now let's try and make some sentences. You can do this as a homework for making sentences using these words, which will help you to build up your vocabulary skills. Okay, there's another way of doing this homework. If you do not want to do this, we can also give another way of attempting this work. So what I did, there was a match the following. So we have the words lovely, buzzing, and sleeping head. And then we have 2 options. You have to match these words either with its meaning or it's with the picture. So meaning, let me just read out the content for you. Making a low continuous humming or murmuring sound, a sleepy or inattentive person, very beautiful or attractive. So these meanings are not in sequence. So you need to match the word with the right meaning or the right picture. Whichever is, the choice is yours. So absolutely up to you. I hope you enjoy doing this homework.
I'm sure all the viewers who are watching us live will be attempting to the assignment our expert has given us. And with this, we are almost into the last segment of today's program. Mr. Banerjee, we discussed about the strategies, what we can practice in home, what our parents can also, inculcate in terms of language building when we are inside home. As a special educator, what is your thought basically? Because NCERT has been working really hard for enhancing these sessions. In pandemic also, we are giving this expert intervention when we are interacting with special educators like you. So as a special educator, do you really feel that, yes, of course, we are talking about that special group of the class in terms of in a group of 30 where we are talking about those particular 4 or 5 students. But we have to work on the other half as well. As a special educator, do you have to share any sort of case study? Or it's not about just discussing these 4 children, right? We have to keep in mind the other half as well. What will you say about this?
Absolutely, Kriti ma'am. That's a very valid question. And that is something which is we as special educator, always contemplate with the teachers. Because yes, for an educator also, when it's in a classroom of 30 children, usually we hear the teachers say that it's a struggle for them to give those special attention, plus the special attention to the 26 children. And of course the 26 children which is left in the class have the equal right for the right kind of right kind of lessons for them as well. So what do we do, what we can do as an educator or maybe as an expert, we can do differentiation. When I say differentiation, that takes care of, it's not about special needs or it's not about children with who doesn't have issues. It's about the learners. What we are talking about is learners. So when I'm looking at the learner, so we have different learners: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic and tactile learners. Now that will help when we make our lesson plans in such a way where you have engaging activities. It is also catering to your special needs, plus it is also helping the other children who are in the class to do interesting activities. Let's say, if I can give you an example, let's say we have these, you can see the screen, difficult words. So we have 5 difficult words in the class, but yes, for the special needs children, we are making a modification. However, there are children who might, get a help with a visual input. So maybe a kind of a dictation where you give choices, where the child, child is one word is, and there's a choices of different spellings are given. So even the normal child would also help, because at times when they are very young children, it's become very difficult for them to learn the spelling, and maybe one E or A, just strikes off that 1 mark from them. So giving these options would also make them confident to identify, which is the right spelling. So these are few strategies, differential strategies you can, actually include in your lessons, which can cater to all the children, and that serves the purpose, and it's a different way for the children as well. It eases out the tension for them also. Okay, we also have a better option, and even they also feel good. Since you talked about normal children, also other children, we also cater to gifted children as well, where we have children who finishes the work very quickly, and then it's very difficult to engage them. So you can also engage those children to help the children who have special needs, and they take pride that, I am equivalent to the teacher and I can really help my fellow. So that really helps. So it's basically just be a little open and, open for suggestions. We need to break out from our traditional methods, and, we have to invent and experiment with things. And I think children always love creative activities. So I think that can be taken. And just the lesson tweak and twist in lesson plans makes a lot of difference.
Any tips by you for our educators and parents who are watching us?
Of course, I would definitely say that, it's just being sensitive. Maybe at a time we will not be able to, cater to 30 children, but yes, we can make that effort, at least 2 children at a day. Or maybe, and also sensitize the children around you, even our own children who are not special needs, plus the children who are in the class, they should be sensitive to the children who have needs. It makes them more compassionate as human beings. So end of the day, we need to inculcate the quality of having that, good, service oriented and as a quality of a human being. I think that will really take care. So please be sensitive to your own needs, and do not compare. I keep telling all my students, all my parents, your child is special, your child is different. Let's not compare. Let's not go after the marks and everything. Every child has a spark. Every child has a, creative aspect. We just need to explore it and just make that little effort. It makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. And I would again request you to kindly repeat the 3 words, the new words we learned today, so that we can get a recall.
Sure.
Please.
Yes, ma'am. Lovely. The first word is lovely. The second word, buzzing. The third word, sleepyhead.
Right. So these were the 3 words from today's session, the new words for you, Standard 4 students. And I really thank you, Ms. Shami Banerjee, for joining us today. It was so
Thank you.
wonderful to have you. You explained so well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pleasure, all pleasure mine.
And I thank Jyoti Interpreter as well for interpreting this session for all of you. And remain connected to eVidya to watch NCRT's resource material. Thank you, Namaskar.